Today we're going to talk about one of the most famous groups of settler in Louisiana, the Cajuns. All right, and we're going to start with our first question. Where did the Cajuns come from? So a long time ago, like 250 years ago, when the French were settling the areas around the Mississippi River in Louisiana, the French were also settling areas in Canada, right about there. And unlike the French settlers in Louisiana, the French settlers in Canada were very good at living off the land. Remember, the French in Louisiana had a rough start, and they had to have a lot of food sent to them from other places. They're having trouble growing their own food. Well, as you can see from this picture, the Cajuns were actually very good at adapting to the land. This shows them moving a stream so that they can get the water to their plants and grow them for food. But there was trouble brewing up in Canada where the Cajuns were living because there was another group of European settlers who were coming to settle in the area, and they were the English. And this map shows the French and the English actually claiming the land around where the Cajuns lived. And they ended up fighting over this land. The French wanted it, the English wanted it, they all wanted it for trade, but they couldn't decide who was the rightful owner of this land. And the English won that war, and they kicked all the Cajuns out. So here we see the British in the redcoats, and they're kicking the Cajuns out of their home, marching them to the sea, and then putting them on boats to be sailed away. So the Cajuns went somewhere else where they could find other French settlers that spoke French and had Catholic churches just like they went to. And they came to Louisiana. They came from the north in Canada and came down to Louisiana. So that answers our question, why did the Cajuns come to Louisiana? Well, they were kicked out of their homeland. So what was life like in Louisiana for the Cajuns? Well, we know that the Native Americans came and they adapted. They used the land to get all of their food and homes. We know that the French came and they struggled to adapt. They actually had to get a lot of help from other French settlers in other areas. Well, the Cajuns lived in southern Louisiana in what is now called Cajun country. So we know that southern Louisiana is covered in swamps. And the Cajuns actually adapted. So they lived off the natural resources in the swamp. They built boats and tools so that they could fish and catch crawfish and crabs and all the things they needed to eat. And Cajuns adapted to survive and lived off the natural resources in the swamp. Now, important facts about the Cajuns. They were originally French. So when they came to Louisiana, they brought the French language and they brought Catholic churches. Okay? Two important things that we still find in Louisiana, originally brought by French settlers and the Cajuns, because they were originally French. Now, how did the Cajuns impact Louisiana? Here's our main question of the day. What impact did they have on our state? Well, first of all is the food. The Cajun food has become very famous, okay? Cajuns were known for a lot of one-pot meals. They lived out in the country, off the land. So oftentimes they'd throw all the food into one big pot and have all the flavors combined. So dishes like jambalaya are a very Cajun style of cooking. Music. They also brought their music, which was influenced by France because they were French, and that became very important here in Louisiana. All right. This should give you all the information that you need to fill out your worksheet. There's a reading on the back. I want you to complete that, and then maybe if you have time, you can listen to some Cajun music. All right. I'll see you next time.